the term genetics. The second objective should be able to differentiate between heredity and variation. Then the third, our third objective is to distinguish between continuous and discontinuous variations. So those are the major objectives for this lesson today. And in the next 40 minutes, I'll be taking you through genetics, definition, the differences between heredity and variation, and also to distinguish between continuous and discontinuous variations. So let us now move on. So on the introduction part, and I'm sure when we were in Form 1, we were introduced to branches of biology. And one of the branches of biology was genetics. There were genetics, there were other branches. And we are going to take you through genetics. And I'm sure the background is in Form 1 when you are doing the introduction to biology. And I'm sure this question sounds familiar to you. What is genetics? Now, all of us, we have seen, and we have also observed that even in a family where parents are the same, you may discover that children come out to be different in terms of maybe their height, maybe in terms of their skin color, the skin complexion, that is, in terms of their intelligence, in terms of even how they behave. And all this one can be attributed to genetics. That apart from these children being different, we have also observed that children have appeared to be identical in some cases. Children have appeared to look like their parents. All this one is genetics. So genetics is trying to explain why in a family some people look alike, look like parents, and some even don't look like their parents. So in short, what am I saying? I'm saying genetics is the study of those inheritable characteristics and the variations. What you inherit from the parents and those differences that you may have. Now, as we proceed now we have talked about inheritance and variations. So what is inheritance? What is inheritance? That's the second question. What is inheritance? I'm talking about a parent passing their characteristics, some of their features to their children. I'm talking about children, some of them having or looking like their parents. So that's what we call inheritance. So in inheritance, this is the transmission of characteristics from parents to the offsprings. Transmission of characteristics from parents to the offsprings. Now, next is now variations. We are saying for genetics to occur, there must be some inheritable characteristics and there are some variations. So we have talked about that is the one that are inherited. We have talked about they're looking the same, but now there's some variations. So what are these variations? Now variations, from the definition of the word variation, to vary, from the English word vary. That means variations refers to observable differences among living organisms. And we are talking about which organisms? We are talking about the differences in appearance among members of the same species. Differences in appearance among members of the same species. And I want to post an example here. And when you look at the example I've posted, we are talking about human beings, being of the same species. But look at the first photograph I'm having here. That's an African looking different from an Asian and looking different from a European, which is also looking different from the red Indians. So apart from them being from the same species, they are all human beings. They all belong to the same species. They are all Homo sapiens. But looking at them, you'll see some characteristical differences amongst them. And we say that is variation, members of the same species, but having difference in appearance. Next, we can also be able to see the same thing in the same family members. And I'm sure you have seen, and when I did my introduction, I said, family members can have brothers and sisters from the same parents, but they have very different features. And they, for example, their skin complexion, you discover that some of the members have maybe a lighter skin than the others are dark skinned. From the same parents, some are having different heights. From the same parents, we're having different color of their hair. Others having darker hair, others having lighter hair. From the same parents, we have color of the iris in their eyes being different. Even blood groups. You discover some of the members of the family have different blood groups. And we also have the sex. Some are male, others are female, and they are from the same parents. That's variation. And also the ability to roll the tongue. You can see some members in the family, we are from the same parents, but others have inherited characteristics where they are unable to roll their tongue. And that is a photo showing, you can see from the first photo, this is the father, this is the mother. And then you can look at the father is dark-skinned in complexion. You can see the mother is light-skinned. But look at the kids. Look at the kids. The kids, some of them, they are neither white nor black. We're talking about variations from the same parents, but they are having differences. Look at their hair. Look at their hair. The mother's hair may be white, that is, but look at the fathers and look at the children's. So look at even the sex of the children. You look at this one, maybe a boy. Look at this one, maybe a girl. So there are sex differences and the rest. The second photo also tries to illustrate the same. The same family, you can look at the skin complexion, look at their heights. You look at somebody at the back, you can see the one at the back taller even than the father. So it shows that there's some variations, even from the father may be dark, but look at the boy is coming out to be white and tall. Next, I want to talk about, I've talked about the ability to roll the tongue, and I want to take that one as our activity. This is a difference that occurs amongst members of the same family. For example, the ability to roll the tongue. The first photograph I'm displaying, that is a tongue roller. And the second one I'm displaying, this one is a non-roller. The first one is a tongue roller. The second one is a non-roller. Kindly, Mr. Bush, if you're around, can you mute for me the members? Then, I've said the first one is a tongue roller, and the second one is a non-roller. That's a differences that occur in majority of our community and our families. Now, in plants also we have variations in plants. There are also variations in plants, and in plants the same differences can be noted in members of the same species. And how do you know variations in plants? Some of the variations include, number one, differences in heights. Differences in heights. You plant maize of the same species, but exposed to the same environment, same water, apply the same nutrients, but the heights, you find some as others are taller than the others. That's a variation. Number and size of the fruits a plant produces. Another one is number of leaves and sizes. Yes, they may be from the same species, but the number of sizes and leaves, they are different. Then branches and etc. So this one comprises, if you look at plants, you may see the differences in them. Yes, you have planted plants of the same species, expose them to the same environment, but you discover there are some differences in terms of their heights, the size of their fruit, the number of leaves and sizes, branches, etc. That shows that that's a variation. Our first practical that I want us to do together, all of us together. In this practical, I want us to observe some of the variations in human beings. And the procedure here is, number one, I want to request, and I'm sure wherever the students are, they have a teacher with them. So I want to request the teacher in charge of those students to request every member to roll their tongue. And those who can roll, we shall call them the rollers. And they will appear as in photo 1, I'm going to display. And those who cannot roll will appear in photo 2, and we shall call them the non-rollers. Then I'll also request the same teacher who is in charge to count and record the numbers of rollers and non-rollers. And I'll request that we tabulate the results, we shall require them at the end of the lesson. Now, for the tabulation, the non-rollers, the tongue rollers will appear as those in 1, and then the non-rollers will appear as those in the second photograph. So I'll give around 2 minutes for that activity. The teacher in charge, kindly, I've given you 2 minutes. Just walk around. Those one, count for me the non-rollers. Count for me the non-rollers. So 2 minutes, it's enough. Thank you. I'll be back after 2 minutes.
Eight. So you are not able to roll your tongue. Yes. That is one of the variations that is present here. That we have rollers and tongue rollers.
Thank you. I think the 2 minutes are over. Maybe I am sure everybody has done that. And let us proceed. Now, from the counting, and maybe just to ask, and maybe the teacher will be able to respond, and maybe just write somewhere, and you respond in the comment section, or later on I'll be able to open the forum so that we can be able to raise some answers, or if any member can be able to unmute themselves and one of the members or one of the students to respond. The first question from your results: are there any intermediates between the rollers and non-rollers? What I mean by intermediates, I mean, was there any student who was able to roll and at the same time cannot roll? Maybe I can ask, let me just pick one school and request one student to come and respond. If there was any student who was able to roll at the same time could not roll. Njoro Township, Njoro Township, if you are able to move and mute and maybe respond to that question. Njoro Township.
Morning to all of you.
Just unmute. Then speak.
In our school, we don't have any intermediate.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Thank you, asante sana. That's very wonderful. So let us now proceed. So there was none, according to his result, there was none. Maybe if I can also pick someone else. Natewa Secondary School, Natewa. Someone from Natewa, I can see Natewa. Somebody to respond.
Yes, we are here.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Remember to mute after you have unmuted yourself. Huh? Remember to mute again. Olmanyata, I can see you are very active. Olmanyata.
So in our school, there is no intermediate.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. Huh? Thank you very much. Now, let us now proceed with our class. Huh? I think we are doing good. Huh? So let us proceed with our class. Now, next, what percentage of the students are non-rollers? What percentage of the students are non-rollers who are not able to roll? Any from, I'll request from Mau Summit, the percentage of students who were not able to roll. That is the total number of students who were non-rollers over those ones who were able to roll, multiplied by 100. Total number of students who are not able to roll over the total number of students times 100. I can see a hand from Samuel Otieno. Maybe we shall get the results in the comment section. Allow me to proceed. Now, let me talk about the causes of variation. Now, we have talked about this variation. What are the causes of variation? Causes of variations that I've talked about there. Now, the cause number one is sexual reproduction or fertilization. Now, sexual reproduction brings fertilization. So, it is known that this sexual reproduction is the one which is responsible for some of the variations that we encounter. So how? And this is how it occurs, that during sexual reproduction, male and female gametes from parents will come together, will fuse. And we all know that each of the gametes from the male and the female will be carrying different form of characteristics from the parent, from the respective parent. And as these male and female gametes come together and they fuse, and remember, picking them is by random. And so randomly during the fertilization, they form a zygote. Now, this way, different qualities of the parents can be combined in the offspring. And at the end, you get an individual who may be quite different from the male parent, and also very quite different from the female parent. It doesn't mean that they are not of those parents. They are, but because of those different and randomly forming the characteristics that came together, they come up with a different or something which looks an organism which looks different from both the two parents. Number two is genetic mutations. Now, when you hear the word mutations, this simply means these are what we call the sudden changes that occur in a genetic makeup of an organism. Now, there are changes that occur in a genetic makeup of an individual, and you cannot tell even where they came from. We have heard of cancer just starting. Somebody develops something like pimples, and later on it becomes cancerous. Why? Because the cells have genetically changed suddenly. And these spontaneous changes, that is sudden changes in the genetic makeup of an organism, sometimes they alter the original structure of the DNA. So they alter the structure of the DNA. So the DNA from the parent may be looking in a certain, the DNA from the father or from the mother may be looking in a certain way. But due to these mutations, at the end it is altered, and therefore the DNA strand, the arrangement of those genes on the DNA will be interfered. And at the end of the day, the individual that will be produced will have differences, will be varying from the other. So they will create variations. Number three is the environment. The environment has been known to be the greatest factor, and it affects how we live. And some of those factors that have been affected have been able to be transmitted to the subsequent generations. So the environment is very important in this factor. And this includes the availability of resources in the environment for growth and development of the organism. And I'll give an example. An individual may be having the capability of growing tall. A plant may be having the capability or the genes for tallness in it. But because of the insufficient water, because of insufficient nutrients, because of lack of food, that individual may have what we call a retarded growth. Or in plants, we say it becomes short. And in animals, we may say it becomes dwarf. Why? Because maybe the nutrients that could have made that organism to grow tall were not available. So the environment has contributed to the variation. So you may be different from the other person. You are from the same family, but the others they are big, you are small. Then you wonder why. It's because maybe the environment is the one that is making you to look the way you are. You may be having the genes, yes, but those genes will not be able to be transmitted if the enough nutrients are not there. Number four is also segregation of chromosomes during gamete formation. Segregation of chromosome during gamete formation. And here I'll talk about two things during segregation of chromosome. There's one which is known as independent assortment, and then the other one is crossing over, how each one of them affects. So I'll start by looking at the first one, the independent assortment. Now, we have learned with you that those ones in Form 3, you are told that independent assortment, this one occurs in meiosis 1, that is metaphase 1 of meiosis 1. Now, we all know during meiosis 1, what happens is those homologous chromosomes, when I say homologous chromosome, I say homologous, the chromosomes which are identical, come together and they segregate into daughter cells independently. And therefore, at the end, you discover that the total number of combination will depend on how many pairs of chromosome they are in their parent. I'll take that again. That the total number of combination will depend on how many pairs of chromosome they are in a parent. And the number of combination is actually 2 raised to power n, where n is the haploid number of chromosome. So if I take an example in human beings, where we have 46 chromosomes in the somatic cells, our body cells have 46 chromosomes, and that forms the diploid number. So if here we are saying 2n, where n is the haploid, so 46 is the diploid, and therefore the haploid is a half of 46, which is 23. So 23 chromosomes, if you raise 2 raised to 23, you get 8,388,608. Those are how different organisms, how different those chromosomes may combine. Those are how many patterns they can create. And therefore it means no matter what, it's very rare to see even brothers looking the same. No wonder even very close brothers, no wonder even the identical twins, they are different. When you look at their fingerprint, because the combination is up to 8,308,608 of them. Next, now I look at crossing over. Now, crossing over, this one occurs during prophase 1. The other one was occurring during metaphase 1, but crossing over occurs during prophase 1. And in crossing over, what happens is chromatids, that's of the homologous chromosome, they usually break and they rejoin. And they rejoin at a point, we normally call that point as the chiasmata. And at this point where they come and rejoin, what happens during the joining is the 2 chromatids that have rejoined, that are attaching each other, will exchange the genetic material at that point. So what you have, you give out, and then I give you some. So there will be an exchange of genetic materials, and majorly important genetic materials. So this exchange of genetic materials at this point will create variations at the end. Because remember, in meiosis, we are creating, because meiosis is the one which produces gametes. So if there's some exchange of genetic material during the process of making these gametes, then we expect to see variations in every gamete that comes about. Next, I want us now to talk about types of variations. Types of variations. Now, there are 2 types of variation. One is known as continuous variation. The other one is known as discontinuous variation. So I'll be taking you through each one of them. The first one is continuous variation. The other one is discontinuous variation. Now, let us start with continuous variation. Now, in continuous variation, this is a type of variation that exhibit a wide range of differences. We say it has a lot of intermediates for the same characteristics, from one extreme end to the other. And I'll give you examples. Those are the examples in man. One, you cannot be able to, in a given community or given family, look at the skin complexion. And I'm sure now if I ask you to look at your classroom, just look around your class. I'm sure you'll be able to see people with different complexion in skin. There are those ones who are brown. There are those ones who are dark. Those ones who are chocolate. I don't know if there's chocolate. Those chocolate is between the dark and brown, in between. That's skin complexion. So we don't have extreme cases where you can say this one is more darker. That means whatever you think is dark here may be brown somewhere else, because we have a lot of intermediates in between. What about weight? Look at weight. If you measure the weight, you discover that students in a class, you may discover that some have 40 kg, others 41, 42. We even have those ones with 150 etc. So what does it mean? It means that I'm even told that there's an individual who has more than 250 kg. I don't know where that person is. Number 3 is the intelligence. The intelligence is the level of how you conceptualize ideas. So you may discover that others, they take in information very fast. Others, they are slower a little bit, but we don't have extreme cases. So whoever you may think that is so intelligent here may go somewhere and they appear like they know nothing. Then we have fingerprints. Actually, fingerprints, each person has a different fingerprint. Then you have hand span. Hand span, I'm sure the hand span, I'm talking about the size of your hand and the way your hand looks like. Our hands are very different and none of our hand looks like the other. And that's why some biometrics, they use the hand span to differentiate individuals, because if a photo of your hand is taken, it doesn't match it does not match any other person. Yours is yours. Then height. Height is very different. We are not exactly the same. So you discover that we have a lot of intermediates between them. The length of the feet is another one. The length of the feet. We may be having those ones with a very long feet, medium feet, small feet, etc. Examples in other animals. Include, number 1, yields of eggs in chicken. We have discovered that chicken yields eggs differently. They may be of the same species, but the number of eggs yielded is very different. The yielding of milk in cows. You may be having 2 or 3 cows of the same species. They are all Frisians, fed on the same food. But you discover that the yielding of milk is different. Then weight among the others. Examples in plants, we have size of the fruits, number of branches, height, diameter of the stem, and number of branches. So these are just examples of continuous variations. These are examples of continuous variations. Now, next, I want us now to look at discontinuous variation. Discontinuous variation. Now, discontinuous will be simply the opposite of continuous. Now, in this case now, this is a type of variation that show distinct difference in a particular character with no intermediate forms. It's either you are on this side or the other side. No intermediates. It's either white or black, blue or red. There's no intermediate in between them. And this type of variation, I'll give you examples in each case. The first example, I'll give you examples in man. Examples in man include, number 1, the ABO blood grouping system. It's either your blood group A, B, AB, or O. But you can't be A and at the same time you are O. No, you can't. So if you possess any of those, antigens A, B, or if you have none, if you have both, the antigens will be called AB. If you have one of the antigens, it will be A. If you have B as the antigen, it will be called B. But you cannot possess more than one. So that means it's a discontinuous. It's either your blood group A or blood group B. Next, sex. It's either you are male or you are female. Now, we also understand that they are what we call the intersex, they are coming in. But in terms of genetics, because most of the intersex, they are infertile. They don't reproduce actually. Because normally in genetics, for you to transmit, you must be either male or female. The other one is ability or inability to roll the tongue. Is either you can roll the tongue or you cannot roll the tongue. You cannot be in between. Either you are a roller or a non-roller. Then the other one is color of the iris and the eyeball. Some are black. Hair texture. Albinism is either you are albino or normal. The color blindness is either you have normal color vision or you are color blind. Ability or inability to test PTC. Earlobe. Your earlobe, when you look at your earlobe, and I want you to look at your classmates' earlobe, is either their earlobe is fixed or it is loose. We call it free. Is either it is fixed or free. The fingerprint pattern is also discontinuous. I talked about fingerprint as continuous, but we have what we call fingerprint patterns. And I want to show you, these are the fingerprint patterns. The patterns are very specific. It's either you are having an arc, a loop, or a hole. When you look at your fingerprints, it's either it's an arc, a loop, or a hole. That is, it is, in terms of pattern, it is discontinuous. But it can be an arc, it can be a loop, but different loops. It can be a hole, but different holes. Then in other animals include the skin caught in dogs. It's either it's rough or smooth. The hair color in cattle, presence or absence of horns in cattle. In plants, I'm talking about discontinuous in plants, it includes leaf venation, pod shape in peas, flower color in garden pea, it can be red or white, and then flower type in pawpaw plants. That's male or female. Actually, the pawpaw plants is either male or a female plant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that one brings us to the end of our first lesson. Thank you for following. And I want to request, maybe we had requested that we do a statistics from the question. I don't know if we have the answers for that, the percentage of the rollers and the non-rollers. So I'll request each school to give me their percentage. And I will start from, I can start from, I don't know, which school should I start? Let me start from my host school, Kcse Secondary School. Kcse Secondary School, the percentage.
Morning, everyone. In our school, there are 24 rollers and 6 non-rollers, and 50%.
Thank you. Let me request from.
Natewa.
Thank you. Let me request from Natewa Secondary School.
Good morning, everyone. So ours
Yes.
was 8. There were 8 non-rollers, and this comprised to 29%.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Olmanyata Secondary School. Kindly unmute and speak. Olmanyata, unmute faster.
Olmanyata, rollers are 7%, non-rollers 3%.
Thank you. Masinjeri Secondary School. Masinjeri Secondary School.
25%.
Masingeri Secondary School.
Enrollers 78%, non-enrollers 21%.
There's a school that I cannot see the name, but it's saying it's under the name somebody Kcse Jefferson. Kcse Jefferson.
Tongue rollers 70%, non-tongue rollers 20%.
That is from Olmanyata.
Amalo. This Moyamaro Second School.
Tongue rollers are 80% and non-tongue rollers are 20%.
Thank you. That is Jefferson. Which school is that?
That's Moyamaro Second School.
Moyamau. Thank you. Next. Maybe I request two, then we close. I can request from, can I request the school that have not spoken? Mwariki Secondary School.
Yeah, here Mwariki is.
Yes.
We have just connected since we didn't have power.
Yes.
But we have recorded so that we can follow it up together with the students.
Thank you. But if I may ask, Mwariki Secondary School,
Yes.
How many students, if you can do a head count, how many students can roll their tongue?
Sorry, how many students?
Can roll their tongue.
We can do that straight away. Give us a minute.
Thank you, madam. I'll Mau Summit Secondary School. Mau Summit Secondary School, I can see you have given me a lot of attention. Can you give us your results, please? No, you are talking, but I'm not getting you. It's okay. Just stand and request the teacher to unmute for you. I can see you are standing. Yeah, thank you, Mwalimu. I can see Mwalimu trying to unmute. Come again now. Come and now respond.
Hello. This is Mariki.
Morning, everyone. In our school, we have 80% non-tongue rollers, 80% tongue rollers, 20% non-tongue rollers.
Thank you. That's Mau Summit Secondary School. Thank you very much. Now,
Mariki.
I have muted all. Now, Mwariki, you can unmute and talk.
40%.
40% from Mwariki.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, kindly now allow me to appreciate you for your attention. And I'm hoping that we are checking the transmission to make sure that everything is fine. I'm sure that the content has reached you. And a lot of this content shall be coming on your side. So without wasting much time, I want to appreciate and maybe request. I can see Samuel Otieno, and that one could be our county director, if I'm not wrong, to say a word. Bwana County, karibu sana.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wenani, for that good lesson. I was in Moi Secondary, and we could hear you loud and clear. So that is good. We shall have a meeting to get the feedback from the others so that we can know whether all the schools were reached. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And with that, I wish to wish you all the best and say bye-bye for now. Thank you, and you are free to leave. Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. That was a good lesson. Thank you. Thank you so much, Delvin. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Devin. That was a good lesson. Congratulations, Nakuru. We were also following up from wherever we were. I'm sure Ivy has picked a few notes.
Ivy.
So I don't understand why.
We have our principal here who wants to say hi.
How are you all? Good morning. I'm privileged this morning to say that I'm very grateful. I am the principal from Geteti Secondary School. I'm very grateful, one to God, second to our director and all the facilitators for making this day a success, and more so making our school, which is the host, and the teacher, Mr. Delvin, to facilitate this program. I'm very, very much appreciative. May God bless you and give us more opportunities to present such. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Thank you.